Thank you for joining us for Mini Bite 2 of BC's Office of the Human Rights Commissioner's web-based learning sessions on misinformation. This session answers the question, how does misinformation work? If you haven't watched Mini Bite 1, we encourage you to do so. Mini Bite 1 provides an introduction to BC's Office of the Human Rights Commissioner. It offers an overview of all 5 mini bites, and it explains how to use the different components of these web-based learning sessions. And a reminder that we will ask you to pause and reflect during this mini bite. So consider pausing this recording and downloading the handouts package, which is located beside this mini bite on our Misinformation Can You Stop It webpage. You can record your reflections in the fillable forms in these handouts. Or you may prefer to have a pen and paper available to write down your thoughts if you find that helpful. In Mini Bite 2, we will examine how misinformation in all its forms works by considering how difficult it is to distinguish misinformation from real information, and the strategies creators of disinformation use to make it so difficult to identify.
Let's begin by considering your experience with misinformation, disinformation, and malinformation. Take a few minutes to reflect on and record your answers to these questions. How easy is it for you to identify misinformation? Can you think of an example of something that you initially believed to be true, but later discovered was misinformation? Feel free to pause this recording while you reflect and record your thoughts in Handout 1 or on a piece of paper. As we mentioned in Mini Bite 1, in September 2025, BC's Office of the Human Rights Commissioner launched its Misinformation, Can You Stop It campaign to raise awareness of the human rights impacts of misinformation. As part of this campaign, members of the public were invited to take a quiz that included 4 social media posts. Some of these posts were true, and some of them were examples of misinformation. To better understand how difficult it can be to distinguish real information from misinformation, let's take a look at the results of that quiz. As of January 2026, 43% of people taking the quiz were able to answer all of the questions correctly, meaning they were always successful at distinguishing real information from misinformation. 34% answered 3 out of 4 questions correctly, and 24% answered half or fewer of the questions correctly. These quiz results are supported by research by Statistics Canada. In 2023, 59% of people surveyed said they were very concerned or extremely concerned about misinformation online. And 43% said it was getting harder to identify misinformation compared with 3 years earlier. During the Misinformation, Can You Stop It campaign launch, people taking the cell phone quiz were invited to respond to these same questions. Let's see how their answers compared with your reflections.
Recently, especially, I've been thinking a lot about misinformation because I keep seeing a lot on TikTok and Instagram, especially just like posts that just seem slightly off, but not enough that like you're 100% sure immediately that it's fake, you know?
It's really hard because we have different fonts and different people commenting and bringing their own points of view into some articles or some opinions that don't always come across as true. And especially for young people like me, we don't take the time to go and see the fonts and see what the information is coming from. So I feel like nowadays it's pretty easy to get wrong information spread, especially through social media and platforms like Twitter or Facebook.
Before we look at some of the misinformation strategies that BC's Office of the Human Rights Commissioner has identified, take a moment to reflect on the following. Think about an example of disinformation that you or someone you know believed to be true. Why do you think it was successful at misleading you? And how did you feel when you learned you had been misled? Consider pausing this mini bite while you reflect and record your reflections in Handout 1, Question 2. To assist in planning BC OHRC's Misinformation Can You Stop It campaign, we reached out to community members. Here are some reasons they provided for how misinformation works. When you get too much information, it's hard to discern what information is actually relevant. And I think a lot of times that's on purpose. It's an attention economy. We're going to be given whatever information that whoever's posting thinks will capture our attention. So it's not really about truth. It's more about what will hold the viewer's attention and what someone will share. We all think our sources are right, like that sort of belief that your bubble is correct, as opposed to looking at things critically, no matter where they're coming from. And I guess that stems from our own biases. I hear so much misinformation at my school, especially in political discussions, and like really dangerous misinformation. And I find it comes most often from a group that considers themselves not to be susceptible, who think they know a lot. Take a minute to consider the strategies used by misinformation that our community participants shared. Can you think of any additional ways that misinformation works to mislead us? Feel free to pause this mini-bite to reflect and record your thoughts in Handout 1, Question 2, or on a piece of paper. Here are the key strategies creators of disinformation and malinformation often use to mislead us. As we introduce each strategy, reflect on how it relates to the strategies that you identified. Disinformation is often successful at misleading us because it modifies information and creates content that looks real. It benefits from social media site processes to reach people with shared values and fears. And it builds on those shared values and associated fears to capture our attention. In doing so, disinformation provokes strong emotions that make it feel urgent to share the post. And finally, disinformation overwhelms us, so we don't know what to believe. Over the next several slides, we will look at each of these strategies in more detail, and we'll provide examples to illustrate them.
Developers of disinformation are skilled at creating content that looks real and is difficult to identify. These approaches can make content feel real to us, even if that content seems difficult to believe. They use a variety of methods to do this, including using AI-generated or altered video and images, misrepresenting or omitting the context, and misidentifying the source of the problem. Let's look at each of those methods one at a time. Artificial intelligence, or AI, can be used to develop computer-generated images and videos. AI can also modify existing images or videos to change their content and message. In the last few years, AI has become more effective at generating content that looks real. This has made it increasingly difficult to distinguish real content from AI-generated content. And AI tools have become increasingly accessible and more widely available to more and more people. This has led to an increase of AI-generated misinformation on social media. This image is taken from an AI-generated video of the rapper Tupac appearing on a children's television show, Sesame Street. It was posted on social media by a network called Tuna Edits in October 2025. The post claimed that the video was taken from an unaired episode. The fact-checking website, Snopes, investigated the post and found no evidence that Tupac ever appeared on Sesame Street. Snopes also found evidence that the video was created by AI. Links to the Snopes page, including the image and the video, are included in Handout 2, along with other examples that we will share in this mini-bite. This post appears, at first glance, to be an example of disinformation that was not created to do harm. But the Snopes investigation found that the accounts page of the social media network that posted the video requested donations to support the development of more videos. Based on this investigation, Snopes suggests that this and other videos created by Tuna Edits may have been disinformation created to bring in donations.
Another method used to modify information is to misrepresent the context. This can be done in different ways. One method is to select one or several disconnected clips from a video or a quote to highlight a message that the disinformation is trying to convey. At the same time, the context and other clarifying information that contradict the intended message are excluded or replaced. A related method involves portraying the point of view of a member of a specific identity group, such as a person with a disability or a racialized person, as being an opinion that everyone within this identity holds. In both examples, the modified context is being used falsely as evidence to support the views of the person posting the disinformation, to make these views appear to be valid. This meme was posted by Turning Point USA. This group frequently posts about the harms of socialism. The post implies that the photo of an empty grocery store shelves was taken in a socialist country, and that the socialist policies led to a lack of food. According to the fact-checking website Snopes, the photo was taken by an Associated Press photographer at a supermarket in Japan, following the earthquake and tsunami that resulted in food shortages. By adding the caption, "Everyone understands the importance of free markets eventually," and sharing this meme with the hashtag Socialism Sucks, Turning Point USA misrepresented the context of the photo to promote their message.
Another strategy used is to misidentify the source of a problem. Creators of disinformation do this by drawing a false connection between an issue and an unrelated event that occurs at the same time. This strategy works by making the unrelated event appear to be the source of the problem. This strategy relies on the disproven logic that because two events occur at the same time, they must be related. For example, the rate of shark bites increases at the same time that there's an increase in ice cream sales. We could interpret this to believe that eating ice cream caused people to be bitten by sharks. But increases in shark bites and ice cream sales occur during periods of warm weather. There's a correlation between the two. They occur at the same time. But there is no causation because there is no evidence that eating ice cream provokes sharks to bite people. Unless we are aware of the difference between correlation and causation, we can easily be convinced that if two events occur at the same time, one must cause the other. And the success of this strategy also depends on people not having the time to research whether there is a real relationship between the two. Before sharing an example of misidentifying the source of a problem, we'd like to provide a content advisory. The following is an example of disinformation that targets temporary foreign workers and immigrants in general. In September 2025, federal and provincial politicians called on the federal government to end or revise the Temporary Foreign Worker Program. This federal program oversees the hiring of foreign workers for temporary positions in Canada. These politicians claimed that the Temporary Foreign Worker Program was responsible for preventing young people from finding jobs. They also blamed this program for lowering wages for young workers. Claims that the Temporary Foreign Worker Program is responsible for limited employment opportunities and low wages for young people in Canada unjustly places the blame for these challenges on temporary foreign workers and the policy that brings them to Canada. According to the Government of Canada Temporary Foreign Worker webpage, this program, quote, allows Canadian employers to hire foreign workers for temporary positions when qualified Canadians are not available, end quote. And federal employment policy states that, quote, wages offered to temporary foreign workers should be similar to wages paid to Canadian and permanent resident employees hired for the same job and work location and with similar skills and years of experience, end quote. Complex factors contribute to the limited availability of jobs and low wages for young people in Canada. Among other reasons, these can include cuts to the public sector, artificial intelligence, economic uncertainty resulting from the Canada-US trade war. Placing the blame for low youth employment rates and low wages on workers brought in through the Temporary Foreign Worker Program could lead to increased bias, stereotypes, and discrimination against temporary foreign workers and immigrants in general.
Another way that disinformation works to mislead us is by benefiting from social media site processes. One social media process that creators of disinformation benefit from is the removal of processes that were initially in place to protect users. Some examples of protective processes that have been removed include independent fact-checking and policies to limit hate speech. More information on this topic will be available in MiniBite 5. Another way that disinformation benefits from social media processes is through algorithms. Social media platforms use rules and calculations, called algorithms, to prioritize content that appears in individual social media feeds. These are based on each person's individual behaviors and interactions online. Social media platforms use algorithms in order to increase their profits through advertising revenue. The goal of this process is to increase use of the platform by posting content that we are most likely to engage with. For example, by commenting, liking, sharing, or even stopping on a post longer to watch or read it. Creators of disinformation benefit from algorithms by ensuring that their content appears in feeds of people who are interested in a related topic. They then shift the focus of that topic to meet their goals. Let's look at an example. Many of us are interested in investigating and using alternative methods to take care of our health. Examples include naturopathy, cultural medicines, bodywork, and non-pharmaceutical approaches. Social media processes, such as algorithms, can identify people who are interested in natural and alternative healthcare to share posts on this topic in their feeds. And many of these alternative methods are based on fact and have positive results. Examples include eating a healthy diet, getting exercise, and limiting toxins in our environment that we are exposed to. But creators of disinformation can benefit from these same algorithms to increase the chance that their disinformation appears in our feeds by drawing a connection between their disinformation and natural and alternative methods. Here's an example of one such post, which may have shown up on social media feeds of people seeking information on natural and alternative healthcare. Action for Canada posted this image of a syringe beside a coffin with the caption, 40% increase in all-cause deaths in 2021. This post suggests that the COVID vaccine was responsible for an increase in deaths that year. Posts like these contributed to increasing numbers of people questioning the safety of the COVID vaccines. The scientific evidence overwhelmingly proves that the benefits of COVID vaccines far outweigh the risks, and side effects are rare. And it's possible to identify groups that are at risk of negative side effects and to take measures to minimize these risks. This data comes from a Statistics Canada report. It shows that the risk of death is much higher for people who are not vaccinated for COVID than for those who receive COVID vaccinations. Between December 14th, 2020 and September 25th, 2022, there was a significantly higher number of deaths among people who were not vaccinated against COVID than among those who were vaccinated. 10,800 unvaccinated people died, while under 4,000 people with one dose and approximately 1,000 people with a full series of vaccinations died. It's important to note that these numbers refer to deaths due to many different factors. While the example of disinformation appears to claim otherwise, COVID was not the cause of death of every unvaccinated individual, and the vaccine was not the cause of death of all of the vaccinated individuals. What this data does show is that COVID vaccines contribute significantly to preventing deaths. More information showing the relatively minimal risks of severe side effects and the health benefits associated with COVID vaccines is available in handout 2.
Another disinformation strategy is to draw us in by building on our shared values and associated fears. After benefiting from social media processes to reach people with shared interests, creators of disinformation develop posts that capture our attention by building on our shared values and/or fears. If a post resonates with our own values, especially if it appears real, we tend to accept it as the truth. Let's consider the previous example of disinformation. This post about the risks of COVID vaccines appeared in social media feeds of people interested in natural and alternative approaches to healthcare. By suggesting that a vaccine is causing deaths, the post builds on these people's shared value of leading a healthy lifestyle and on their common fear of death. Let's consider another example of how disinformation can work by building on shared values and fears. Before sharing this example, we'd like to provide a content advisory. This disinformation targets people who identify as LGBTQ2SAI+. Many of us share the value that it is important to keep children safe. This comes with the associated fear that our children's safety is at risk. These values and fears are important ones. We all want to do everything we can to prevent children from being harmed. Many parents with these shared values and fears may have seen this or a similar post in their social media feeds. This post falsely blames Soji123 for sexualizing children, grooming 101, drag queens, rapid onset gender dysphoria, sex changes, and something referred to as transgenderism, and furries and bestiality. And it encourages us to advocate for the removal of Soji from the public education system. It is clear how this post, if presented in the absence of other information about Soji123, could build on parents' fears and make us believe that our children are at risk if they are exposed to Soji123. But as we'll see in Minibite 4, to stop the spread of disinformation, it's important to stop and confirm if the information in the post is true. So let's look at what Soji123 is. According to the BC government's Erase website, Soji123 is not a curriculum. It is an education initiative developed by a nonprofit organization, ARC BC, in collaboration with BC teachers and the Ministry of Education. Its goal is to help teachers make schools safer and more welcoming, respectful, and inclusive for lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, queer, questioning, two-spirit, asexual, intersex plus students and their families. Now let's consider the risks and benefits of Soji123. Research conducted by the University of British Columbia's School of Nursing demonstrates that Soji education effectively lowers the safety risks for all students. The research found that Soji123 is beneficial for inclusion and support of all students, not just those who identify as LGBTQ2SAI+. Training and support for school staff provided by Soji123 helps reduce bullying and discrimination in schools for both LGBTQ2SAI+ and heterosexual students. The research found that the longer Soji is delivered in schools, the greater these positive effects have been. More information about how Soji123 protects rather than harms all youth is available in handout 2.
A related strategy used by creators of disinformation is to develop content that provokes strong emotions and make it feel urgent for us to share a post. Humans have evolved to react quickly to perceived dangers. When emotions like fear, anger, and outrage are triggered, we react quickly and automatically to protect ourselves and those we care about. After taking advantage of social media processes to target people with shared interests, then building on our common values and fears, creators of disinformation use content and images to provoke strong emotions, such as anger, outrage, and fear. These emotions make it feel urgent to act immediately by letting those we care about know about the issue. With disinformation, this action can include sharing a social media post, article, or video. The success of this disinformation strategy depends on our emotions being so strong that we don't take the time to investigate whether the information is actually true. To illustrate, consider the example of disinformation about the risks of COVID vaccines that we talked about earlier. By providing misleading information of the health risks of COVID vaccines, this and similar disinformation provoked strong feelings among many people. These emotions included fear for their safety and the safety of their loved ones. Additional emotions included anger at the government, healthcare providers, and pharmaceutical companies who developed the vaccines. In addition to contributing to a reluctance of many people to be vaccinated against COVID, these strong emotions led many people to share this and similar posts with others before investigating whether the posts were valid. Let's look at another example. Before sharing this example, we'd like to provide a content advisory. The following is an example of disinformation that targets Haitian people. Many of you may have seen U.S. President Trump and others make this or similar statements about Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country. And it's a shame. These comments build on the shared value many of us hold, our love of pets and the importance of keeping them safe. And many of us are angry about economic challenges we face. Anger at our own situation often leads us to look for someone to blame. Trump's comments built on these shared values and fears to provoke feelings of outrage against Haitian Americans. The comments also redirected any anger people felt towards other sources of their economic hardships. These strong emotions of outrage provoked many people to share this disinformation with others. Let's take a minute to explore the facts behind this post. Evidence disproving this disinformation appears in many news articles, including the Newsweek article that is included in handout 2. The person who created the original post later admitted that she had no evidence to support her claim. It was based on a comment made by her neighbor, but was not supported by evidence. The mayor of Springfield and the Springfield police have also confirmed that there was no evidence supporting this claim. Because of dangerous conditions in their country of origin, Haitians in the United States have temporary protected status and can legally live and work there. Local Springfield citizens were unable to fill all the new jobs there, which encouraged many Haitians to settle there. Additional disinformation on this topic included videos of a woman being arrested for eating her cat, and a photo of a black man walking down the street carrying a dead Canada goose. These videos and photo did not involve Haitians and were from cities other than Springfield.
A final strategy used by creators of disinformation is to overwhelm us. Use of algorithms and manipulative messaging can produce feelings of overwhelm in two ways. When we receive an abundance of social media posts with conflicting messages, it's difficult to find the time to investigate which of these posts is true. This is confirmed in the responses to a survey that our office sent to British Columbians. 37% of respondents identified that a lack of time was one reason they didn't verify the accuracy of some or all of the news stories about current issues. Disinformation can also lead us to feel emotionally overwhelmed. Manipulating our emotions by targeting people with shared values and posting messages that provoke anger or fear can lead to feelings of emotional overwhelm. Both of these types of overwhelm can lead us to mistrust all types of information, both true and false. This limits our access to important information that we need to make informed decisions and keep safe. Can you think of more examples of disinformation that used any of these strategies? Modifying information or making content that looks real, benefiting from social media site processes, building on shared values and associated fears, provoking strong emotions that make it feel urgent to act. and overwhelming us so we don't know what to believe. Can you think of any additional strategies that disinformation uses to mislead us? And finally, how can an increased awareness of these strategies help us to identify disinformation? We'll explore the answers to that final question in Mini-Bite 4. You may wish to pause this recording while you reflect. Handout 3 provides a table with a summary of each strategy and a column for you to write examples of each strategy either now or after you've completed this mini-bite.
In Mini-Bite 1 and 2, we explored what misinformation is, why we are concerned about it, and the strategies creators of disinformation use to mislead us. In Mini-Bite 3, we will delve more deeply into why misinformation is a concern by exploring the ways that misinformation impacts human rights and democracy. Thank you for participating in Mini-Bite 2, How Does Misinformation Work? If you enjoyed this session, we encourage you to share it with people in your community or organization who may benefit from learning more about misinformation. We also invite you to download the PDF of this presentation along with the handout package.